Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kathleen. In today's video we are going to be talking about the books that I read during the month of May. It's not necessarily that I'm going through a reading slump, I'm just not reading as much as I'd like. In the month of May I did read a total of 4 books. I started a 5th book but I never actually finished it, so I'm not really going to count towards my May wrap up. But I did read 4 books and it's still pretty good, but I just want to get into the habit of reading as much as I used to, because a few months ago I was reading 8 to 9 books a month and I really want to get back to that, so I'm hoping to get back into that in June. Let's go ahead and get started with the 4 books that I read during the month of May. Alright, so the first book that I read during the month of May was The Traitor Prince by CJ Redwine. This is her 3rd book in her Ravenspire series, and her Ravenspire series is basically, they're all set in the same world but they're all companions to each other. They're not direct sequels, and each different book follows a different fairy tale, and The Traitor Prince follows the princess and the pauper, and I really enjoy that aspect about this book. This is basically about a prince who's been away at military camp or military school for over 10 years. He hasn't seen his family in over 10 years and he's about to graduate and go home. However, he gets kidnapped on his way home basically, and an imposter takes his place on his father's side. Again, he hasn't seen his family in over 10 years, so the imposter, who looks very similar to the prince, is able to pass off as the prince, and the actual prince gets thrown in prison, and from there he kind of has to try to break out and kind of befriend people in order to break free. Because every book wraps up within one book, there's no sequels to one another, I do find that the books kind of are fast paced and they do wrap up nicely. I do feel like the ending to this book was a little bit rushed. I wasn't crazy about the romance. I do feel like it was just a tiny bit insta-lovey, but it was not horrible. I've read worse insta-love, but I enjoyed how it ended. It was really cool. It was really action packed, and I did give this book 4 stars. If you guys have not read the Ravenspire series, I would highly recommend it, because especially if you like fairy tale retellings, because they are actually pretty good. And again, they're all companions to one another, not direct sequels, so you don't have to even read the books in order, at least not in my opinion. The characters from the other books kind of make appearances within every book, however they're not like vital characters, so you don't necessarily have to know who they are in order to understand the story that you're reading. And then the next book that I read was Children of Blood and Bone by Tommy Adewale. I believe that's how you say her last name. And this was actually the BIBLIO Squad's book pick of the month for the month of April or May. And we had our live show last month. I'll leave it linked on the screen if you guys would like to check it out. But I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I gave this book 4.5 stars out of 5. The only reason why I knocked half a star is because I did find the romance within this book a little cringy. It was kind of like a hate to love relationship, but I just didn't feel like it was done a very natural or smoothly. It was done very forcefully and unnatural, and I did not like it. Otherwise, I really liked the story. I really connected with the characters. I loved the side characters especially. I love the magic system with this world. It was really interesting. The world building was just so cool and so interesting, and I loved the world, and I loved being able to immerse myself within this world. I thought it was really good and really interesting, and as I said, I gave this book 4.5 stars, and I would highly recommend, if you haven't read this book and you love a good fantasy book, because this is so good. All of the hype behind this book is totally worth it. It definitely deserves all the hype. And the next book that I read, finally, is The Lost Hero by Rick Riordan. This is book 1 in the Heroes of Olympus series, which is the series that's following the Percy Jackson series. And I have to say, I absolutely loved it. I gave this book 5 stars. I just really, ever since the first Percy Jackson series, which in my opinion was the most underwhelming book in all of the books that I've read by Rick Riordan so far, which granted is, compared to the number of books he actually has out, is not that many. I just been loving every single one of Rick Riordan's books. I like his writing style. I like how he has kind of like humor behind it. I understand that this is written for more of a middle grade age. However, I just really enjoyed it. I like that even though this is very action packed and it's based on Greek mythology, just enjoy how lighthearted it is, and there there's just something about it that makes it so enjoyable to read it, and it's so good, and you just immerse yourself in the stories, and you really connected with the characters, and you're just laughing and smiling and cringing, and just all these emotions are going through you when you're reading a Rick Riordan book. And that is exactly what I felt reading this book. I just loved it, and I love that even though these are based off of completely new characters, I love that we got to see characters from the original Percy Jackson series in this book. I cannot wait to continue on with the rest of the series, because as I said, I really have been loving Rick Riordan's books. I think they're fantastic. And the fourth and final book that I read during this month of May, I was very disappointed with this book, and it is A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J Maas. This is basically book 3.5 in her ACOTAR series. This is the book that's supposed to bridge the gap between her first series, which ended with A Court of Wings and Ruin, and the next trilogy in the ACOTAR series. And that's what I was expecting this book to kind of bridge the gap. Honestly, I feel like this book was just a huge waste of my time and money. Let me just start off by saying I did like the story itself. I thought it was going to give us kind of like more of a clear picture of to what to expect in the next series, and I just didn't get that. If she marketed this as just as a simple novella, not a bridge between the two series, just as a simple novella that's gonna just let us know what the characters have been doing after the events of A Court of Wings and Ruin, I would completely give this book a whole different rating, possibly higher than the rating that I gave, which was 2 stars. I feel like I learned nothing new within the story. This is just basically a huge lead up to the sex scene that is at the end of this book, and that's all I got from this book. That's pretty much all I remember from this book. There were some aspects I like about this book. I really enjoyed the scenes with Nesta. She needs a serious attitude adjustment. I understand the trauma that she's going through, and I really connect with her character, and I really want to see more of her, but I feel like we didn't get enough of her from this book. I also wanted to see a lot more from Amryn and more, but obviously we didn't get that. If you guys have read this book, let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below, because I would really love to know. I would love to know that I'm not the only one who's angry with this book. And there you go, guys. That is all for my May wrap-up, which included a little bit of a rant mini review at the end for ACOFOS. Let me know in the comments below how your reading's been going in the month of May. Again, I read 4 books, and it's pretty good, but I just feel like I can do more. Anyway, guys, thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like if you did, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. All of my social medias are linked down below, including Twitter, Instagram, and Goodreads if you'd like to follow me. I hope to see you guys on my next video. Have a good day, guys, and keep reading. Bye!